Yes, it's that time of week again here in Southern California and wherever you are listening in. It's time for Grand Prix Talk, the show that provides a little gingerbread house mindset to the North Pole world of motorsports. Happy holidays, everybody. The month of December is here, and goodness me, I've been waiting for this month for a long time. I just love the Christmas season, all right? So don't at me for that. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Grand Prix Talk, everybody. My name is Sergio Morales. I host Grand Prix Talk every week, and yeah, I'm back to being solo, which, all things considered, that duet episode was a lot of fun. So here I am once again, ready to talk about racing and yap about racing for the next hour. So welcome to all our listeners online and on YouTube. You can tune in at 22westmedia.com. You can follow 22 West Media at 22 West LB and 22 West Radio on Instagram. Both of them are Instagram links. And on YouTube, you can follow me at The Sergio Show and on Instagram at Smorstagram. That is SMOR Stagram. Okay, so I genuinely thought that this was going to be a relatively laid back show, but no, this show really has written itself this week, if I'm being honest. There's a lot to talk about in terms of racing, and there's even something to talk about outside of the racetrack. So let's waste no time. We got to start with Jaguar. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't, but for those who haven't, let me feed you in because most of us who keep up with cars at all, in some way, shape, or form, we know what the heck is going on with Jaguar, and it's not fun, especially, like, at least if you ask me, and if you ask at least 80 or 90% of the people who are taking note of what the heck is going on with Jaguar, it's not fun. They rebranded, they unleashed a new logo, which looks a lot like if it was a makeup brand rather than a car brand. A lot of people have taken a jab at it, including Elon Musk, but that's beyond the point. The point is, after that weird, wacky, no bueno rebrand that Jaguar just went through, they revealed their first car. But there's a couple of problems with that. Number one, it's just about as divisive as the rebrand. Number two, that car is just as divisive as the rebrand. I forgot, I lost my train of thought there for a moment. Anyway, my point is, it's a car that's going to divide people. So I hope that this time around for the YouTube stream, I hope that I can actually share my screen here. If I can't, then well, it is what it is. I'll definitely edit this out if I can't actually do it. But anyway. Okay, so Jaguar has revealed the Type 00 concept car. That was the second problem that I had with this car. It's a concept car, it's not a full production vehicle. Well, okay, Sergio, what's a concept car, I hear you ask? Very good question. A concept car, for those who don't know, is a car that it's it's only really a styling exercise, if you will. It's the kind of car that you won't see this exact car ever hit production, but you will probably see a car similar, like that borrows some styling from the concept car in a production car. Case in point, the Toyota FT1. For those who don't know, this was a concept car that landed in the Gran Turismo 6 video game. It eventually became the basis for the current generation Toyota GR Supra. And if you put the cars side by side, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like you can actually tell some of the similarities between the two. So it's not an uncommon practice for concept cars to come along and present possible new ideas. Hyundai and Kia have been going crazy with concept cars as of lately. But anyway, now that I've explained what a concept car is, let's talk about the Type 00 concept car that Jaguar has just revealed. So, first of all, it looks like a Mercedes-Benz AMG GT if it was in a cyberpunk video game. That's just my personal thought about it. It also kind of looks like this fastback design over here. This, like, the fastback design looks something like Genesis would have done, which is the Korean luxury brand, and Hyundai's sub brand for luxury as well. So it kind of looks like a Genesis from the fastback shape. From the front, well, I will say, I guess it sort of reminds me of a cat that's just kind of like, like has very, very thin eyes, or like, I don't know. I guess that's one way to put it. I guess, it's kind of hard to describe how exactly I want to describe this front fascia of the car, but I will say this front grille looks stupid. I don't like it. I think it looks weird. It doesn't complement the car as I would hope it would. And it just reminds me of the new current generation Nissan Z for all the wrong reasons. The Nissan Z and this car, they have square grills. Like it kind of looks like this. It looks weird. I'm sorry. It does not look good. Just my humble opinion about it. Now, according to Jalopnik, the haters won't admit Jaguar's new Type 00 concept looks like a modern take on the E-Type. I guess start calling me a hater because although I see some similarities, and I say that very, very lightly, there are some similarities, but otherwise, this really isn't exactly a modern take on the E-Type. It really just looks like its own thing. And I mean, understandably, this car has caused a lot of controversy. Just this, and remember, folks, this is a concept car. This is not a car that we're going to see in production. We're going to see something similar to this at the end of the year 2026. Like that's 2 years from now. I know in car world, that's not a lot of time, but for you and I, that's quite a while. 2 years, just saying. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about this thing. I was hoping that it wouldn't be as divisive as the rebrand itself, but looking at photos from Motor1.com, especially this one photo where a Barbie pink car, a Barbie pink Type 00, because it really does look like Barbie pink, if I'm being honest. And then this, so okay, it's funny because Jaguar themselves, they call the colors that they presented their Type 00 concept car in. They called one of them, this color right here, they called it Miami Blue. Or was it, sorry, not Miami Blue, London Blue. London Blue, sorry about that. It's Miami Pink. That's what I'm mistook it for. And that's what this Barbie pink car looks like. It's just, I don't know what to tell you guys. It just, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it, if I'm being honest. And this goes beyond just the stupid rebrand, which is already kind of a wacky decision from Jaguar in and of itself. I'm just not sure how I feel about this car. It looks bizarre. It looks bizarre. And this is definitely raising eyebrows. And I think, in my opinion, rightfully so. Whether or not this will somehow turn out to be some type of great car in 2026 or 2027. Yeah, late 2026. So basically for the 2027 model year. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here so I can. Okay. So as I was saying, like, whether or not that car actually ends up being a good car when some similar thing hits production at the end of the year 2026 is anybody's guess. I mean, I'm just not sure how Jaguar really intends to move forward with that, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. You know, they already did their wacky, silly little rebrand. They already did their concept car, but I guess from here on out, Jaguar is going to make $0 some way, somehow, I guess, up until they release their first full production car. And they're all going to be electric. They're all going to be, somewhat similar to that concept car that we just saw. So, but like I said, they're not making any cars right now. They literally dropped production of every single car that they've been building, and that includes an actually cool car. What was its name? There was like a sports car that they were making. I think it's called like the F-Type. I think it might be the F-Type. Yes, it's the F-Type. Like even this car, even the Jaguar F-Type is gone, which sucks. Absolutely sucks. Like this car actually did look pretty good in my opinion. But then again, this is a brand that's been struggling a lot lately with sales and all that. I'm not sure if this is actually going to make it even better. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. I will be happy to be proven incorrect. I think maybe most people wouldn't. But as things stand right now, I don't know. I'm not too confident in Jaguar right now. Okay, so with Jaguar talk out of the way, now we can start talking about things on the racetrack. Starting with our dog Esteban Ocon, who was dropped out of Alpine in the most wacky way possible. My dog got done dirty. I'm just going to say right now, remember Kaylee Gallagher? She came on Grand Prix Talk a couple of weeks ago in our most recent episode before today. She literally sent me a text before I started today's show and quote her, "It's just sad, dude. It's so sad, dude." And it really is. It really is. My dog got done dirty. That's all I gotta say about it. So For those who are out of the loop, let me break it down for you. Esteban Ocon will not be racing in the upcoming Abu Dhabi Grand Prix for Formula One, which is the season finale, which is coming up on Sunday, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Believe that. So, Esteban Ocon will not be there. Jack Doohan, the 2025 rookie driver for Alpine, will be competing in Esteban Ocon's place. So, I guess you can say that Jack Doohan will definitely be getting some needed experience here with Alpine, which is fair, kind of need it. But Esteban Ocon really didn't even get to finish out the season. And he's a third driver this season that this happens to. First was Daniel Ricciardo, which we all know how that one went down. That was actually a really sad way to go out. And Logan Sargent, of course, our All-American hero who got dropped mid-season in favor of Franco Colapinto. That's not to say that Franco hasn't done terrible. Like, he hasn't been terrible. He's been pretty all right. But, drivers not finishing the season twice, three times now because Esteban Ocon. And Esteban Ocon right at the last race, too. Like, why? Why would you drop him at the very last hurdle? I don't understand it, especially coming off a wild and in a great way performance in Sao Paulo when Esteban Ocon actually beat out Pierre Gasly. Second place, teammate Pierre Gasly got third. Now, it was a spectacular result for Alpine and one that I think they really did need. But, that's part of the reason why I don't think it was fair to drop him mid-season, like right at the end, too. I just don't understand it, man. I don't get it. I really don't. But anyway, that's not for me to decide. That is for the folks at Alpine to rattle upon making stupid decisions, in my humble opinion. So, Esteban Ocon has shared out that this is not how he wanted things to end. So according to Formula1.com, he's taken to social media to share his thoughts on his early exit from Alpine. Reports, let's see. He was already set to join Haas in 2025, Esteban Ocon, but in a statement shared on Instagram, he revealed that his sudden departure was not how he wanted things to end. So here is the statement. Actually, I will once again share my screen, and if it doesn't work, then I will have to edit this for a future video. By the way, I want to point out that during Thanksgiving break, I actually got back to film. I'm so glad to be back in some way or form. Okay, so Esteban Ocon's statement regarding leaving Alpine. I would like to first and foremost thank the mechanics and engineers across all functions at the track, Enstone, I don't know how to say this, but I'll write it down on the screen, who have raced alongside me these last 5 seasons. We have shared so much together, and I am proud to call many of you my friends. I leave Alpine/Renault with great memories and the pride of having been the driver who brought the team's best results since its return to the sport, climbing the top 2 steps of the podium in Bahrain, Hungary, and Brazil. It was also an honor to play a part in finishing P4 in the Constructors' Championship in 2022. I know how much all of those moments meant for everybody, and feeling that sense of achievement and joy alongside the team is what I am taking away with me. It has not been an easy year on track for the team, and the second part of the season has been especially difficult for various reasons. I do not regret a single thing, knowing I gave it 100% every single session like I always have. To the hundreds of hardworking men and women at Enstone and Viry, sorry if I mispronounced that, I apologize that I will not be able to come see you in person and have a proper farewell. As you know, the plan was always to race one last time this weekend and personally say goodbye to you all next week. I was looking forward to both of those things. This is not how I wanted things to end. That said, the world of F1 is small, and I am sure I will see many of you again soon. I would also like to wish nothing but great things to my friend Jack as he takes this next big step in his career at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Merci, Esteban Ocon. Wow. All right. So that was quite something. That was quite the statement there that he read out. And he revealed a helmet that he was, this was the helmet that he was going to run at Abu Dhabi, which includes like some of his triumphs, including a podium at the Monaco Grand Prix, and of course, the spectacular race when he had at the 2021 Hungarian Grand Prix. They did Esteban Ocon dirty. Stop sharing. They did Esteban Ocon dirty with this one, honestly. They should have at least let him finish the last race before, actually letting him go. But if there's any consolation at all, he's not going to be entirely leaving F1. He will continue to race. As we know, starting next season, he's going to race for Haas. And all I can hope for from here on out is that he does well with Haas. And to Jack Doohan, we also wish him the best at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. No other thing to say, right? It's just, it is what it is. And as bummed out as I am for SD Bestie, as we once, if anyone ever listened to the Donut Racing show, I do remember that the co-hosts at the time, those were Nolan J. Sykes, Alanis King, and Elizabeth Blackstock. Shout out to any of them. If they are listening, y'all make great content. I'm just, if you happen to be listening, honor. That is a huge honor from my behalf. Anyway, yeah. So they refer to Esteban Ocon as SD Bestie. And I mean, granted, it's not exactly a term that I would use on my show, but because they used it first. But my point is, they did the dog dirty. So I'm hoping that Jack Doohan does well in Abu Dhabi, and that Esteban Ocon himself can, take this week to rest up, to get his Christmas break in early, and get ready to move over with Haas, which we obviously hope that he does very well with them over there. Okay, so that will conclude some of the roundup that we just had for this week. Yeah, what a weird weekend sorry, I don't know why I turned down the main mic. Anyway, what a weird weekend, if I do say so myself. What a weird batch of news. But anyway, we shall return here shortly on Grand Prix Talk because I need to catch some water and I need to rest up for a little bit. After that, we will start previewing the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, which is coming up this Sunday. We're going to talk all about that and the Constructors' Championship, which is still on the line in case anyone here happened to forget about it. Yep, it's still a thing. We're going to break down how Ferrari and McLaren can each win it right after Eye to Eye by Tsunami on Grand Prix Talk. Stay with us, chat. All right, we shall return here shortly. That was Eye to Eye by Tsunami here on Grand Prix Talk. Welcome back, everybody. We got one more race to preview here on Grand Prix Talk for 2023. Actually, two of them. two of them. There's two races to preview left here on Grand Prix Talk for the 2024 year. And we should just get into it right now because first up, we got to talk about the big one here. Or should we start with the lesser known one? Let's start with the lesser known one instead. So if anyone here follows Formula E, which is basically, which is basically the electric version of F1, sort of, kind of, I guess you could say. Well, Formula E is starting off this weekend for its 2024-2025 season. And let me tell you, folks, Formula E is so painfully overlooked and underrated. Granted, I know there's a little bit of a downturn towards electric cars right now, but if you want to see like a good reason why electric cars are actually good, Formula E, there's electric race cars. So, hey, they're the ones driving it, not us. But anyway, point being, Formula E is very overlooked, very slept on. And I'm going to try to convince you here today why you should watch, especially given the fact that it starts this weekend. First up, the new car that they just dropped, the Gen 3 Evo, which let me see if I can share this screen over here. If I can't, like I said, I will edit it in. So the Formula E Gen 3 Evo, this is what it looks like. It is a brand new race car specifically for Formula E, exclusively racing in Formula E. Gen 3 Evo is the second version of the Gen 3 car, which when it was first revealed, it was kind of poked fun at because it's a Dorito chip looking type of thing. Anyway, so let's break down some stats for the car. The tires are Hankook race tires, which have up to 10% higher grip versus the previous generation Formula E car. The body of the car features a new front wing reminiscent of the second version of the first generation car for Formula E. It also includes new front wing, new rear winglets, a narrower nose that looks a little bit more like F1's like 2012, 2013 noses, if you guys remember that, and some improved aerodynamics. So that's pretty neat and all. The maximum power is up to 470 brake horsepower or 350 kilowatt hours for any European listeners. Top speed is at 200 miles per hour on the dot. 0 to 60 comes in at 1.82 seconds. For comparison, the one time where you could actually try to replicate that was on the Dododampa roller coaster in Fuji-Q Highland in Japan. However, that coaster, I believe, has now permanently closed. That coaster used an air compression system, I believe, to accelerate its riders from 0 to 112 miles per hour in that same time frame, 1.82 seconds. So here in Formula E, you're getting the same time, but the only difference is lower speed. But make no mistake about it, 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds is blisteringly fast, no less. That's the plus about the electric cars. Instant torque, so 0 to 60 times are always significantly lower compared to their gas-powered counterparts. The weight of the car is 859 kilos, which I will be honest with you, I do not know how much that is in what's it called? In pounds. But 859 kilos. The powertrain is an all-wheel drive, usable in race for the first time in Formula E history with the Gen 3 Evo, and regen comes in at 600 kilowatt hours. So pretty good stuff, if you ask me. So now that we have discussed, let's talk about some of the drivers. Maybe some you've heard of, but otherwise you will hear about them here today. So we're going to go through in numerical order, and I'll explain what each driver has, like some stat or something, I guess you could say, or something that makes them unique in the Formula E world. Starting with number 1, Pascal Wehrlein, the defending Formula E champion. He's been at it in Formula E since day one. So Pascal Wehrlein is definitely a driver to keep an eye on. He drives the number 1 Tag Heuer Porsche in Formula E. In car number 2 for Maserati MSG Racing, yep, the Maserati, like the Italian car brand, that's them. Stoffel Van Dorn, who previously was a McLaren driver in F1 around 2018. He since, after that, moved on to like a reserve driver role with Aston Martin F1. Now here he is competing full-time in Formula E with Maserati. And he's been here in Formula E for quite a while now. So he is kind of a regular around these areas. And if I'm not wrong, he's actually a Formula E champion. Now, this was when he was driving for Mercedes. which was a while back. Yeah, believe it or not, Mercedes also competed in Formula E at one point. Stoffel Van Dorn did win the 2021 to 2022 FIA Formula E World Championship. He did so with Mercedes, finishing in second place at the final race of that season, the Seoul E-Prix in Seoul, South Korea. Car number 3 is David Beckman, who is new to Formula E, if I'm not wrong, because I personally have never heard of this guy. He will be entering his third race in Formula E history when he does start. And that's because he did compete in one race with Avalanche Andretti Formula E in Season 9 and Season 11 with Keto Race Company. So, which, by the way, he is starting with them this season as well. Robin Freins from the Netherlands will drive car number 4 for the Envision Racing Formula E team. Robin Freins has also been here for quite a while. However, he did get 2 race wins in previous seasons, entering 102 races and 16 podiums. He's also got 520 championship points over the course of his Formula E career. Okay, so Robin Freins. Taylor Barnard. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that, Mr. Taylor Barnard. He comes from the United Kingdom. He drives one of 2 cars for the McLaren Formula E team. That's right. The same folks who are involved in IndyCar and Formula One, they are here in Formula E as well. He did start, he has a best finish of 8th place for McLaren in Season 10. And I think that was the only time he actually did compete at all. Yeah. He only competed in 1, 2, 3 races previously here for Formula E and McLaren. So Taylor Barnard looks like this is going to be his first full-time season. Maximilian Gunter drives car number 7 for DS Penske, kind of similar to the Penske that you might have heard of in NASCAR and IndyCar. This driver right here, Maximilian Gunter, has 5 Formula E wins to his name, 10 podiums, and 2 pole positions. Over the course of his Formula E career, he scored 335 championship points. He has previously competed for, among other teams, BMW Andretti Motorsports in Formula E, Nissan, who still compete in Formula E, and Maserati. He just recently moved to DS Penske. So keep an eye out for Max Gunter over here. He should be in for some pretty good stuff. One of the drivers that I am most familiar with in Formula E, and to be honest with you, whenever I think of Formula E, this driver that I'm about to share next is the driver that I think of, Sam Bird from the United Kingdom. He will drive car number 8, the McLaren for Formula E. He will be teammates to Taylor Barnard. Now, this man has 12 wins to his name throughout his entire Formula E career, 27 podiums, 6 pole positions. He is still looking for his first Formula E season championship, but he has been at it since day number 1, since Formula E was first even a thing back in season 1 in 2014. He's competed for Virgin Racing, that's right, I said it, DS Virgin Racing, Envision Virgin Racing, Jaguar Racing, which didn't we talk about them just now? And for season 10, he moved over to McLaren, which he's now where he's been competing ever since. Car number 9 is Mitch Evans, who has also won a Formula E championship, or actually, I guess not. Sorry about that. Mitch Evans has won 12 Formula E races. Sorry, not a championship. He drives car number 9. That is the Jaguar racing car, which, by the way, have they revealed their new Formula E car, by the way, yet? No. Anyway, 12 wins, 31 podiums, and 9 pole positions to his name. Lucas Degrassi will be driving for a brand new team of Formula E, Team Lola Yamaha Apt Formula E team. Lola refers to a chassis manufacturer that has built Indy cars in the past. Lucas Degrassi is a Formula E champion. He did win a while ago, and he has 13 additional race wins to his name, 40 podiums, 4 pole positions. So pretty good stuff. He's driven for a variety of teams. He's also been here since day number 1. He's driven for Audi Sport at Formula E team for the longest time, up until season 8 when he moved to Rocket Venturi Racing. And he's been with several different teams ever since. Season 9, Mahindra Racing. Season 10, Apt Cupra Formula E team. And season 11, of course, Lola Yamaha Apt Formula E team, which is what they are known as now. Car number 13 will be driven by Antonio Felix da Costa, or Antonio Felix da Costa, however you guys want to say it. The Portuguese driver is teammates to defending Formula E champion Pascal Wehrlein at Tag Heuer Porsche Racing. Over the course of his Formula E career, Antonio Felix da Costa has won 12 Formula E races, 23 podiums, 8 pole positions, and he has a season championship to his name. Keep an eye out for Da Costa. I'm sure he's going to do some good things here this season as well. Another driver, we're talking about another one who's been here since day number one, Sebastian Buemi, coming over from Switzerland to compete with Envision Racing Formula E team. His teammate is Robin Freins. Sebastian Buemi drives car number 16. He's got 13 race wins to his name, 32 podiums, 16 poles, and one title championship to Formula E. One Formula E championship to his name. In car number 17 for a brand that you for sure have heard of, Nissan. Yep, they're competing in Formula E, and the driver in question that we're going to talk about here briefly is Norman Nato. He drives car number 17. He's got one race win and 3 podiums to his name over the course of his Formula E career, which started back in season 7 with Rocket Venturi Racing. Then he moved the following season to Jaguar TCS Racing. Yep, like the Jaguar we talked about. Season 9, he moved to Nissan. Season 10 to Andretti. And season 11 to Nissan, which is where he's at right now. We'll talk about his teammate here briefly. Car number 21 for Mahindra Formula E. If you kept up with Formula 1 at all in 2023, you've definitely heard this name, Nick de Vries. The Dutch driver has since moved to Formula E, and he has done pretty well, if you ask me. 4 wins, 8 podiums, 2 pole positions over the course of his Formula E career, and a season championship to his name, which he won with Mercedes, as did Stoffel Van Dorn in the 2021-2022 season. So there's that for you. All right. So, yep. So Nick de Vries, I'd say he's found home in Formula E, so keep an eye out for him as well. Zane Maloney, I hope I said that right. It looks like I did. He's a driver from Barbados that I have never heard of before. I've heard of the country of Barbados, obviously, but I haven't heard of the driver Zane Maloney. He's teammates to Lucas Di Grassi at Lola Yamaha Apt Formula E team, and his stats sheet is blank. He's a rookie. He will be starting out his Formula E career this very season, it seems. So good luck, Zane. We hope you do some good stuff. His stat sheet is completely blank, so we'll see how that comes along. The other Nissan driver, car number 23, teammates to Norman Nato, is Oliver Rowland from Great Britain. He's got 3 wins, 13 podiums, and 8 pole positions to his name. He's competed for Nissan in the past from seasons 5 through 7, and seasons 10 he returned with Nissan after some time away with Mahindra. He also debuted in Formula E in season 2, also with Mahindra. We're going to talk about another driver here who's been at it since day one, Jean-Eric Verne in car number 25. This guy is a 2-time Formula E world champion with 11 wins, 36 podiums, and 17 pole positions throughout his entire Formula E career to join those 2 championship wins that he's got. Like I said, he's been at it since day one. He's competed with Andretti, with DS Virgin, with Techeetah when that was the thing. DS Techeetah also when that was the thing. DS Techeetah, we now know them as DS Penske. But by the way, they're kind of related to DS. They're kind of related to a Citroën over in France. DS Automobiles. Keep an eye out for that. Okay, so next driver on our list is Jake Dennis, a pretty familiar name across the Formula E paddock. He competes for the Andretti Formula E team. You know, the folks that are trying to get into F1 some way, somehow. Cadillac is doing that, though. We got to talk about that in the last episode of Grand Prix Talk, by the way. Okay, so Jake Dennis is a past Formula E champion. He's also got 6 race wins to his name, plus 21 podiums and 6 pole positions. He first competed in Formula E in season 7 with BMW I Andretti Motorsport. Oh, he's been with Andretti the entire time he's been in Formula E, so nothing new there. And like I said, he did win a season championship with them. Dan Ticktum, who, let's just say he had a little bit of a dilemma that pretty much he shot himself in the foot with regards to F1. So anyway, Dan Ticktum, he competes with Keto Race Company, teammates to David Beckman, sorry about that. And he has no wins, no podiums, no pole positions as of yet. But he has entered in 48 races so far. We'll see how that turns out. Nick Cassidy is another driver who has been a regular in Formula E. He's from New Zealand, and he's teammates to Mitch Evans at Jaguar. He has 7 race wins, 20 podiums, 6 pole positions to his name, and no championships as of yet, at least in Formula E. Eduardo Mortara from Switzerland is going to be teammates to our dog Nick DeVries at Mahindra Racing this season. He's got 6 wins, 13 podiums, and 3 pole positions to his name. So a pretty balanced lineup over at Mahindra. I think that's a pretty solid lineup, and maybe the team to keep an eye on. 2 drivers left. I know I've been rambling on for Formula E drivers for quite a while now. Nico Mueller is one of them. He will be teammates to Jake Dennis at Andretti Formula E. The one big stat that Nico Mueller's got is he has stood once on the Formula E podium before, which is a lot more than I ever have, that's for sure. That came in the form of a second-place finish in Season 7 with Dragon Penske Autosport. And last but not least, Jake Hughes, teammates to Stoffel Van Dorn at Maserati MSG Racing. Jake Hughes has also 1 podium to his name, but he does have 4 pole positions. So I guess qualifying is more of his strong suit. That one time that he finished on the podium, he was competing with McLaren in Season 10. He finished in 2nd place that day. So we've ran through our driver lineup, and I'm going to go ahead and give you some drivers that I would recommend you keep an eye on if you decide to start watching Formula E, which I think you should. I would say keep an eye out for Pascal Wehrlein, car number 1, the defending Formula E champion, Stoffel Van Dorn, car number 2, and Sam Bird, car number 8. These are the 3 guys that I think are going to have really solid seasons, but let's not count out Lucas de Grassi, Sebastian Buemi, heck, even Nick DeVries. You know, these are Formula E is not short in talent, if I'm being honest with you. It's just the fact that they're kind of flying under the radar. And especially like they kind of stand primed to actually do something big here, have a great, spectacular race at some point, and get people talking about their championship. They will be running 16 races, so I would say keep an eye out for those 3. For, like I said, Pascal Wehrlein, Stoffel Van Dorn, Sam Bird. These are my 3 picks that I think are going to have a great season in Formula E this year. The season begins this Saturday, December the 7th, in Sao Paulo, Brazil. That will be the opening round of Formula E. With track time, let's see. The race will take place at 9 in the morning here in Southern California time. I think CBS is going to be able to carry the race. In past times, I have noticed that the race has been broadcast online, like at cbssports.com or something. Now, let me actually investigate and share with you guys how you can watch it here in the United States. That's right. CBS, once again, will carry the Formula E races. So I would say hop on to cbs.com, like cbssports.com or cbs.com. That is one way where you'll be able to actually be able to watch it. I think so. I hope so. Because Formula E's broadcasting is honestly a little kind of wacky. But otherwise, keep an eye out on FIAFormulaE.com for all the latest information. This isn't sponsored. This is just me promoting Formula E because this is a racing show after all, and I think you should watch. Whew. All right. All that Formula E talk, man, that was quite something. But now let's talk about the last subject on today's show, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. This will be the final round, race number 24 of 24 in the 2024 Formula One World Championship. Let's go ahead. Let's break it all down. So the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix was first known in 2009, which is when the Yas Marina circuit was first opened to the public in 2009. It's located right next to Ferrari World Abu Dhabi, which is a world-famous theme park, best known for having the fastest roller coaster in the world, Formula Rossa, in Abu Dhabi, right over there. Formula Rossa hit 149 miles per hour. It launched from 0 to 149 miles per hour in about 5 seconds using a hydraulic launch system, the same one that is featured right here at home in our own backyard here at 22 West. It's a little park called Knott's Berry Farm. The ride in question is called Accelerator. That's beyond the point. I digress. Let's talk racing. The Yas Marina circuit is a weird one, if you ask me, but also a pretty nice one. So aesthetically, let's not kid ourselves. The Yas Marina circuit is a very beautiful track. But beyond that, it's kind of meh when it comes to the racing. So let's break down the track configuration. And with that, I'm going to share my screen, possibly for the last time today. Go ahead. If it doesn't share, again, I'll edit it. Don't worry about it. Okay, so we start at the start-finish line straight, where we head to turn 1 for a hard 90-degree left. Turns 2, 3, and 4 are all pretty quick. It's kind of a huge snake and slithering around before we hit DRS detection zone number 1 over here. Then we head into turn 5, which used to be a chicane, and then this turn over here. Well, now the chicane is long gone. Now it's just turn 5 itself. And turn 5 leads into a long straightaway over here, which is the first of 2 DRS zones on this racetrack, including the speed trap at the end of this first DRS zone. Excuse me. Turns 6 and 7 are all one giant chicane, so keep an eye out for that. And immediately after that second chicane, immediately after that first chicane, we head into DRS detection zone number 2, which, yeah, that's another DRS straight from turns 8. Turn 9 is one massive loop around. It's a circular turn, honestly, and there was once a weird like chicane and then like a hard 90-degree left. I'm glad that's gone because this made it a little bit better in my opinion. I do prefer this circular turn as opposed to what they once had. Anyway, turns 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 are all like this weird right turn, left turn. It's a little weird, but it does go underneath a really sick hotel that you can only find at the Yas Marina circuit. So that's pretty neat. And then finally, turns 15 and 16, both almost 90-degree right turns, leaning back into the start-finish line. Now, I think one of the biggest things is, the pit lane, which actually features a tunnel to get back out onto the racetrack, which was pretty neat. And it's actually the only racetrack in the F1 calendar that has it. But anyway, yeah, so that's pretty neat. And with that, that's your track preview for the Yas Marina circuit. It measures 5.28 kilometers in length. The race will be run over the course of 58 laps. The first Grand Prix run there was in 2009, as I mentioned earlier. And the lap record is of 1 minute 26.103, held by Max Verstappen. This happened in that infamous 2021 title decider at this very racetrack. We have our predictions. I'm going to be the one making predictions here because I don't have the guest on. So my prediction is, let's see, what do I think? Max Verstappen is kind of on fire right now as of lately. Like he's suddenly out of completely nowhere found his way again. So I would say maybe he stands a pretty good chance at winning in Abu Dhabi. He won in Brazil. He finished, fifth, I think, in Las Vegas, enough to secure the championship, and he won in Qatar. So I think Max Verstappen, I think it's a pretty solid bet that maybe he could end up coming away with victory in Abu Dhabi. And that's the only prediction I'm going to make because on the note of race wins, that's actually one more thing I want to talk about today because we have McLaren and Ferrari. The Drivers' Championship might be done, but the Constructors' Championship is to be contested all the way to the final race in Abu Dhabi, which is something that I do not recall ever saying at all, like ever. It's pretty crazy, but I do think it's actually really, really neat. So McLaren and Ferrari, let's talk about this Constructors' Championship. Following, quote Formula1.com, following the sprint in Qatar, McLaren bolstered their tally at the top of the standings, extending their lead over Ferrari to 30 points. But after the Grand Prix, Ferrari managed to cut that deficit down to 21 points, helped by Lando Norris's late penalty that dropped them from 2nd to 10th place. So what would each team need to do in order to win the Constructors' Championship during the weekend in Abu Dhabi? Well, here it is. There are 44 points available for a team across the remaining round of the championship. So 44 points are available, and McLaren has 21 points of an advantage over Ferrari. So McLaren needs to score 24 points to guarantee the Constructors' title, or 23 if Ferrari do not win the race. A Grand Prix victory would be enough for McLaren, as that is worth 25 points. So really, the easiest way for one side or another to win the Constructors' Championship, it seems, is to win the darn race between McLaren and Ferrari. Otherwise, it's anyone's guess at this point. Picking up 24 points could be achieved in a number of ways if they didn't win the race. 2nd place and 7th would be enough, as would 3rd place and 5th for McLaren. If Ferrari finished further down the order somehow, McLaren could win by scoring less than 24 points. So what about Ferrari? What do they need to do to beat McLaren to the title? Despite Charles Leclerc finishing ahead of both McLarens in Qatar, Ferrari didn't manage to inflict a huge dent in McLaren's lead. The gap stands at 21 points heading into the final round of the season in favor of the Papaya team. With 44 points still available, Ferrari need to score at least 22 points and hope that McLaren somehow fail to score. If McLaren do pick up points, Ferrari would realistically need to have both cars finish in front and hope their rivals suffer some issues. In the ideal situation where Ferrari takes a 1 and 2 and the bonus point for fastest lap, which by the way, rest in peace in advance to that fastest lap point, a podium for McLaren would still require the team to have their second car earn 9 points. That means if the second Papaya machine finishes in 4th or 5th, they take the crown. A 6th place result for the second McLaren would see Ferrari take the title, with the Scuderia having more wins in this scenario, whereas any lower, it would be a mathematical victory for Fred Vasseurin's squad. So what happened to Red Bull? Well, they can't contend with the Constructors' title anymore, even with the win in Qatar. Max Verstappen claimed 25 points, but Sergio Perez failed to score points, which is just sad for me. But anyway, between Ferrari and McLaren, this is all to play for in the Constructors' Championship, and my prediction is I think McLaren is going to win it. I think McLaren is going to do better than Ferrari in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but I wouldn't fully count out Ferrari either. I do expect them to put up a good fight, assuming they don't bin it like they did in Qatar this past weekend. So that's my prediction. I think McLaren's got it in the bag, possibly. We'll see what happens, but yeah. When was the last time? Actually, now that I think of it, when was the last time McLaren won the Constructors' Championship? McLaren won F1. The last time that McLaren won a Constructors' Championship was in 1998, way further than Ferrari ever did. Ferrari's most recent Constructors' title was 2008. McLaren's is 1998. Think about how much technology has evolved between 1998 and now. You know, back then they were not even racing hybrids. Hybrids are now all over the place. The iPhone wasn't even a thing. PCs looked a lot bigger than what this Mac in front of me looks like. Oh my goodness. Hey, I think after the show, once I'm done with my homework and everything, once I'm at home, I might go do some research about what happened in 1998. I'm just so curious all of a sudden to see how the world was back then and how it is now. But anyway, if McLaren wins, it's their first Constructors' Championship since 1998. If Ferrari wins, it's their first since 2008. So let's all just gather around and enjoy this last race of F1 in 2024. What a season it has been, and I hope this final race delivers on a really, really fun season overall. Speaking of season conclusions, Grand Prix Talk will see its final episode of this season next week, Tuesday, December 10th, here on 22West Media at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So be here. I'll be talking about my top 10 moments, top 5 or top 10 moments in racing, depending on what time allows. But yeah, that I will also recap the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I'll also briefly run down Formula E and their inaugural race of the 2024-2025 season. But with that in mind, finals week is coming up here in Cal State Long Beach. So with that in mind, we got one last episode of Grand Prix Talk for season 3. Is it season 3? Yeah. We got one last episode of Grand Prix Talk for season 3, and that is coming next week. So be here. I hope to see you all here. It's been a really fun season, and we're not done yet. So we got one more episode next week. So be here, be square. And with that, we conclude today's episode of Grand Prix Talk a lot earlier than most. So with that, thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure you follow 22West at 22West LB and 22West Radio, both on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram at Smorstagram, that is SMOR-stagram, and on YouTube at The Sergio Show. And of course, tune in to 22westmedia.com for all the latest shows, including Nat the Rock Show, which is coming up later on tonight at 5 o'clock, and Self-Center Radio coming up at 6 o'clock. So stay tuned for all those shows coming up later on this afternoon. For Grand Prix Talk, my name is Sergio Morales. I will see you all next week for the final episode of the season. But until then, take care, everyone. We're sending it off with Everything You Are by Midnight Kids. Till next week.